Hi, Mike. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, John.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for coming today.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you have a window in that room?
Yeah, I do have
Oh,
windows here.
okay, because you're in one of the more beautiful parts of Florida, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It
right
will
on
be
the beach, right here in Hollywood Beach, right between Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
nice. Yeah, it will be a shame to be indoors too much of the time in a place like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
How long have you been down there?
We just moved here about 6 months ago, actually, from Ohio.
Okay, but like so much of the direct response marketing business is in the state of Florida, right?
There's a lot of people down here. A lot of people down here.
And have you found like it's had a direct impact on your business since you moved to that part of the world?
No, no, not really. No, not really. It's funny. It's crazy. My clients are in France, Germany, England, Singapore.
Hmm.
I've never had like a local clientele. It must be
Okay.
my charming personality.
And did you travel a lot, or you've kind of built your whole business online?
Well, I've been copywriting and an entrepreneur in my own online businesses for like 32 years. So
Oh wow!
yeah, so at various points, I traveled a lot. I don't, but I have a lot. Yeah,
And like
I hit I hit the Million Mile Club many years ago.
so, like if you've been doing it that long, like how long was it before like the web kind of became available at a domestic level, and you actually saying, "Hey, I can do some business here."
Oh yeah. Shit, I don't know what year that was. I remember with those, the hell was I on first? Netscape or something, was it?
Yeah, that was like 95, 90,
Yeah,
96.
the years kind of I couldn't remember. And then I remember like PC Magazine was on every newsstand. I think they were mailing it to my house and whatever. And then there was a disc in there from AOL. Yeah. So, and then you set up, forget my first email addresses, but you'd set up free email accounts and then you go online. And that's when you knew it already had potential. People were starting to sell stuff.
But were you already well established as a copywriter by that time?
Yes.
So how'd
Yeah.
you get in the business?
Oh, okay. I'm like a kid entrepreneur. Like I was the kind of kid that had multiple paper routes and sub paper routes when I was like 14 years old, you know. So how to get an online business? Oh, I know how. I started a business that was similar to Valpak. Do you get those Valpak coupons in the mail?
No, that must be a US thing. We don't have them here in
Okay.
Ireland.
Yeah. So I built that up and had a bunch of salespeople out there selling those. And to get them leads, I started doing direct mail. And then yeah, then I started doing online advertising for to business owners to get them leads, to get my salesmen leads. And then I started selling oh, I know what it was. Yeah, it was a pain relief cream online. And so that's kind of my foray into the first of the virgin online market. And then
And like
after that, I hooked up with Gary Halbert, and that was fun. That was down here in Florida. I used to speak and work at his seminars. So, and then, yeah, so, one thing leads to another.
yes. And you've got your own website, mikepavlish.com, and I'm always telling other copywriters, especially guys who are earlier on, if you want to see what a good copywriter's website, go check out Mike's, because you your website from top to bottom is like a demonstration of competence. Like everything about it is telling people, hey, this guy knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. Thanks, John. The check will be in the mail to you next week. Hey,
But
What the hell? Are you in a cave over there or something? You look like you're in a Hamas cave or something.
part of your revolution is the God.
Are you in Palestine?
No,
Uh,
God, no, no, please.
you look like you're in a cave with underground tunnels under
I'm
the
actually
hospital.
I'm actually in my office here at home. I'll turn on the light for just a moment so you can see it's a real domestic home. But after hours, you know what? I'll leave the light on this time. In the evening times, I like to sit in the dark. I find it more comfortable. But you're right; it's maybe a little bit spooky and inhospitable.
Kind of cool.
So most times I interview people about their background and their career and stuff like that. I've just done a little bit of that with you, but you specifically told me, hey, John, I want to talk about stuff that moves the needle. So rather than kind of, pull out a biz op story about everything that's gone on from the beginning to the end and lots of twists and turns. You said you wanted to tell me about kind of like how your kind of process is of creating winning copy that actually moves the needle and makes conversions happen. So you have the floor.
Open question, not prepared. Okay, no, I'll tell you some big things that I think move the needle, especially nowadays. They're like one of the big things that people don't realize or that's not being done well these days is you have to have something unique. You have to have something like that's unique mechanism and unique differentiator in your product. You can't go out anymore and say that I have a money making program, a coaching program, or a supplement that does XYZ. It has to be, you have to have some secret sauce, some special, something special about it that makes it superior and different and better than all the other competition. Because at the click of a button in 2 seconds, people will do and will and do look at your competitors. So what happens is when you are writing a promotion to sell anything, you have to dig really deep and find out what makes your product, what specifically makes your product different, what makes it stand out, what makes it better, what makes it unique. And a lot of times it's obvious, a lot of times it's not. Sometimes it comes internally from the product, sometimes it comes from outside the market forces or what's going on in the world. And sometimes it just comes from, it's not any of those, it just comes from your imagination, your creativity.
May I respond to that with a question?
You can't be a Me Too product anymore because everything's so much more competitive than it ever has been in the history of the world.
So what stands out to me about what you just said is you said there needs to be a unique mechanism in product. You didn't say there needs to be a unique mechanism in the copy. And I think that sometimes you see with copywriters, they try to invent a unique mechanism in the copy just so they can have one. So it's interesting that you said specifically it's the product. So for you as a copywriter, it's actually more about being choosy about the kind of things you work on, right?
Yes, that's a big part of it. Like, I'll give you an example. If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, Mike, write me a 60-minute, hour-long VSL on a supplement for pain relief in it, and it has the ingredients of arnica, MSM, and turmeric, just basic ingredients that everybody that's bought any kind of pain relief product knows about." I'm like, well, you want me to take a very generic, commonplace product that I can find in the drugstore for $5, and you want me to sell for $40, but no one can ethically do that. You need to go back and get some, I can work with you. I've been doing it for this forever. I can work with you with suppliers or whatnot, or at least tell you some ingredients that you need to put into your supplement to make it valuable, unique, more effective, but to give it positioning in the market to make it stand out and be superior and unique, so that when people see, so first of all, the copywriting can be great and hard hitting because I can write about something unique and exciting, right? I can't write about turmeric that people have seen 100 times before. That's what a lot of people try to do, and why the failure rate is so high.
And also copycatting is such a huge issue nowadays. Like as soon as somebody has something good, it's getting ripped straight away.
Yeah, don't you think so too, John? It's gotten worse lately.
I think it's just a matter of just because of markets getting bigger and more things for sale and more people. Also, the understanding that you can do business online, it's broadened. Like everybody wants in now, whereas before it was like, oh, that's for weird people, or that's for technical people, or that's for people who've already got money to invest, or there was all kinds of reasons why the ordinary person couldn't get involved. But nowadays, like, see how heavily Shopify is advertising. They're like, hey, anybody can be an online business person now. So that means anybody will. And that means that it's just going to be much more copy and paste operations out there.
It's really horrific. It's scary because you can take a winning promotion that you see. Again, let's just keep it simple so it's easy to follow. For a pain relief supplement, copy and paste it, put it into Chat GPT and say, "Hey, Chat GPT, study this sales letter or study this VSL. Write me something that's extremely similar but different that you can't say is plagiarized, blah, 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 but it's extremely similar. It has all the same main points and structure, but make it the product name different and call it, XYZ name of product. And it spits out the same copycatted, almost identical type of VSL or long form sales letter.
Yeah, that's one part of it, like with ChatGPT, and like that conversation's been, I think, done to death over the last few months. But something kind of adjacent to that I spotted a few days ago in a group I'm in was all these people were talking about how to review their copy and to edit their copy, and about different things like Hemingway and what's the other one, Grammarly, those heavily promoted like kind of editing tools or clarity tools. And they're like, which one should we use? Should we use this one or that one? And all I thought about it was like, hey, 30 years ago, people were putting out great stuff and they had zero of these tools. Like they had, a basic word processor or maybe even a typewriter, and they still wrote a bunch of great stuff. So like maybe we're being conditioned to think we need all kinds of tools to make work that we probably don't need.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's happened with artificial intelligence is it makes 5% of the people lazier. Copywriting is very difficult, sludging, trudging, pull out your hair, frustrating work. See, you can tell by my hairline. You must have a hairpiece on. But AI, I used a few different AI things besides chat, two different. But anyways, AI has made people lazier, because what really makes an ad or sales letter or VSL, what makes it a multi-million-dollar winner is someone that does a lot of hardcore research and finds something unique, something exciting, something different, a new concept, new problem, new solution, something that people haven't seen before. And that takes a lot of hard research. There's no easy road, no shortcut.
I think that part is underappreciated. And I know from different people I've talked to that people who really do well spend a lot more time on research than perhaps anybody realizes. So could you talk a little bit about your research process and like how that fits into your writing, and how much of your time is actually spent writing versus researching?
Okay, let me first talk about my research process.
Start again. Your research process.
To make my explanation of my research process better for your listeners, John, can you give me a type of a product like that a lot of your people watching this are going to be in that niche?
Okay, I can give you something I'm working on myself right now, which is one of the products I'm involved in selling is selling training for people who want to start a Shopify store. So there's a kind of example that maybe we can look at.
Okay, so this is going to what we call opportunity seekers.
Yes, absolutely.
They want to start a Shopify store. Do we know where they are it's a cold market. I'm just going to talk out loud my research process, and you'll see how I get to, and I'll show you my research process. So this is going to opportunity seekers. They want to start a Shopify store. Do they know what they're going to sell?
I don't think so. They're mostly people who are in kind of a 9-to-5 job or some sort of ordinary everyday thing that they're doing for a living, and they're bored and they're frustrated and they want an exit strategy.
Right. And they don't know what they're going to sell.
I don't think so.
Okay. What do we offer them with our product that makes it fast and easy for them to become successful?
Well, we offer them not just the training, but we'll also actually get the store ready for them so that the store will be formatted. They don't have to think about all the setup part. They don't have to figure out all the technology. We give them the list of, hey, you buy this software, this software. We'll do the store design. We'll tell you exactly what types of products to sell. We'll show you even how to use ChatGPT to put together the designs for the products as well. And we'll also, not only that, but we'll give you some one-to-one coaching as well. Like not just in a group setting where you're in a Facebook group or group calls. We'll give you 3 one-to-one deep coaching sessions with a mentor who's already sold their own products on Shopify successfully.
Do they get to pick out the type of products they want to sell, or does your product already have them selling a certain type of products?
So we have a category of products that we like to work in, and they are typically wearables, things to do with apparel and and accessories and other things you wear on the body. But in terms of how the final product looks, they have a lot of creative input into design. If they want to, they can choose from some ready-made designs too, and they can use ChatGPT and AI to make it simpler for them. But it does tend to appeal to people who have some sort of interest in doing something creative, or having their own brand or their own store with their own unique looking things.
Okay. Do you do the shipping for them? Do you do drop shipping for them?
Yeah, we do, but it's not drop shipping in the way people think about it. It's not out of China. It's all out of suppliers who are in the United States. So
Okay.
it's quick shipping that can take 2 to 5 days rather than the 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Do you have success stories?
Plenty of them. Yes, it's been running for several years.
Okay, let's stop right there. What did I just do in my research?
You collected relevant information.
I interviewed the client.
Yes.
And I found out that I've been doing this, like I say, 32 years, so I know what people want. So what they're looking for, that's step one. You study the product that you're selling and you find out what benefits does it have to the person. What I don't know yet, I do know, but I'm going to pretend like I don't know. But what I don't know yet and what I need to research is what are the main benefits that people want from a, number one, their own business, which I know, but I had to research that. What do they want from a Shopify store? What's the benefits of a Shopify store versus other businesses they could start? What are their main objections, if any, to a Shopify store? Which there's going to be, that's where we're going to really hit home, because what's going to happen is they're going to be like, yeah, I'd love to start a Shopify store, but I don't know what I'd sell. I don't have the money for inventory. I don't blah, blah, blah. So actually from talking to you for 5 minutes, one thing that jumps out at me is this, that this is kind of an instant, you're in your own business and it's basically done for you. Those are magic words, done for you, or a variation of that. It's a business that you can have up and running, next week or, instantly, and start making money instantly. It's like done for you. You do not have to warehouse. You don't have to purchase any inventory. You don't have to select products. We do all that for you. Proven good selling products with a high profit margin. So those are kind of more like granular details, but we got to back up to where people are at right now. And what they really want to do is, on a general level, the way we're going to, I think, bring them in is to look at the big picture, where they're at now in life. And I think what they really want to do is they want to escape the rat race. They want to escape their 9-to-5 job. And because that's what business opportunity seekers want. They want to get out of the rat race, be their own boss, and make a lot of money. And so that's kind of how I would do my research. I may not have given you a good answer. I may have gotten into it too quickly. Like, I don't know if your listeners will pick up my formula from that, because it's kind of intuitive. I'm looking for what makes whatever you're selling, what makes it exciting, powerful, unique, what makes it appealing to a prospect. And that's really what research is. What does the prospect want that you can match up to your product, right?
Now, this is really interesting, because that's at the point where you're creating a new promotion. And then there's another level of research where you've got a promotion that's already proven and working. So I'd like to talk about it, because this product I'm working on, it's proven and working, and it's been selling for quite some time. If you've already been selling for quite some time, you think, okay, this is going good, but I'd like defensibility. I'd like to create some new hooks and angles so that I make sure, instead of having, just a couple of ads that are working, that I have 3 or 4 different types of ads that are working, or different appeals, and I'm bringing in people from different areas. So when it's an established product, how do you go about actually finding that new angle on something that's already working?
Okay. Let's do this. Give me the current headline that's working, John. And then from there, we'll freestyle and come up with other angles that can work. And then from there, you'll see my method of how I do that.
Okay, great. So I'm going to just pause for 1 second there. I'll pause this And I'll start the recording again in just a sec. So we just started the recording again. And actually, I can give you a headline that we're not using right now because I don't want to give the current one just for the reasons of privacy. So for those wanting control over their time and income, that's the pre-header. And then the main headline is how to launch a highly profitable e-commerce business in as little as an afternoon without any inventory, sales and marketing experience, or risking money upfront on overheads.
Okay. How to launch a high profit e-commerce business without any inventory, risk, overhead. That's basically the idea of it. Okay. Okay. So yeah, there's basically about 10 different angles you can take for a headline. That is what I would call a very direct product focused headline, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Agree? Okay.
Yes. That's on the landing page after they've already probably watched a sort of 60 to 90-second ad about the opportunity.
Okay. So we can go after, so that's a direct product based. So stuff that we need to try to beat that and come up with a big new winner that beats that by a lot, that beats that control. Let's come up with a situation solution based. And I'm going to write these out and just say these in the next minute, and then we'll come up with actual headlines for each one. Let's come up with next one's going to be a solve problem. Next one's going to be a success story. Next one's going to be a question. Next one's going to be a concept. Let me just start with those 5 so I keep your viewers to your podcast.
You already gave me 7. And by the way, this is a very slow-paced podcast, so you don't need to feel in any rush or hurry. I don't do much action-packed stuff. People just tune in to hear me yak with people.
Okay. So the first one I talked about was situation solution based.
Yes.
Now, person's situation is they're in a job they don't like. The solution they want is their own money-making business. So a headline would be a rough off the top of my head, quick headline would be this: sick of your job? ? Now own your own, in quotation marks, done for you. It depends. I didn't need a little more research on if I want to mention Shopify in the headline. Sick of your job, now own your own, done for you. Might just keep it general at this point, money-making business. And then under that, and an exclamation point, then under that, I'd probably do something like subhead would be like no inventory, sell our high profit and fast selling products, 100% assistance, or 100% personal help, something like that. Okay, so that's an example of a situation solution headline that we could run up against what you're currently using. Next one I said was a solved problem. So a solved problem headline would be, their problem is if they're sick of their job, they want something better. That's the problem. How much does this program cost, John?
It's 4 figures. I'm not going to say the exact amount, but it's over $1,000.
Okay.
Less than 2,000. Okay.
So yeah, medium priced. So because the wording you use depends. The price of what I'm selling will depend on the language I use. Like there's low end at business opportunity wording, then there's really high end. So that's kind of why I asked that.
Mm-hmm. Let's say for the purpose of this exercise, it's $1,200.
$500, you said?
$1,200.
Okay. Something like here's like a solved problem headline: how to get out of your job and start making some real money soon. And then the subhead is, here's how X number of people, like 1,247 people like you are now making up to whatever it is, $287,000 a year with no inventory by selling our hot selling products, and we help them. We hold their hand and show them exactly how, and you can get started in the next 7. You can start making money in the next 7 days. Blah blah blah. The benefits. So that's a solve problem type of headline we could test against to try to beat the control. Was this kind of what you're looking for, John? Is when you asked me how I go about trying to beat a current control?
Yeah, this is awesome, Mike. This is good because what's standing out to me is particularly, and I think it's very instructive, maybe even for like, I'm not a super experienced copywriter like you. I've been doing this since 2019 only. I was in construction before that, but like, you know, even for people who are less experienced than you are, there are some who listen, is like what strikes me about what you're saying is the simplicity of the language. People always think copywriting has to be complex, but every single word you've given me is a simple everyday word that anyone can relate to, and probably everyone uses in their day-to-day speech as well.
Sure. You know what they say? It's the tavern, the bar language. They say if you want to be able to, if you want to be a great salesperson, and that's another conversation for another time. But really, what people should realize is that copywriting is salesmanship. You're selling someone something. It's not really copywriting. That's actually a bad word. It should be called something like sales writing. Really, people get too hung up on the copy and the words. It really, if you really, you should think of it as you're sitting down in a tavern, a bar, a restaurant, whatever, and you're sitting down with somebody, maybe a friend, maybe you don't know them that well, a mate in Ireland, as you'd say, a pub and a mate, right?
Yes.
I have my wording right? Okay.
Well, mate it's people are saying it more these days. It's more typically UK people say that, English people will say it, but definitely being in the pub. And yeah, the lads. People in Ireland will say the lads. You're in the pub with the lads.
Okay. I got you. And you're explaining to them, you're like, hey, Ian, here's how to, get out of your job and start making some real money soon. Ian's like, shit, really? What were you talking about? Yeah, well, here's how, I'm going to show you how 12,000 or 1,247 other people have used this way to make up to, X $247,000 a year with no inventory. You see how that just he's sucked right in. And it's no bullshit, it's facts, it's common language, like you said. So you want your message to be like talking to someone at a tavern. You don't have to use fancy highfalutin, at last, finally, a new bullshit, just talk like a person,
Mm-hmm.
a real person.
And the other thing that kind of makes it similar to the tavern conversation, the pub conversation, is if you're telling a story to your friends over a beer, what do your friends always do? They call bullshit on you. Bullshit, And then when they call bullshit on you, what have you got to do? You got to prove it. Well, how do you prove it? By specific information. The more specific the information, the less likely they are to call bullshit.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I have a copywriting coaching program where I coach a lot of copywriters. Some have a year of experience, some have 10 years of experience. And a lot of what I work on them is like having a good natural flow that people get intrigued by and have to read. So the next formula for success in copywriting is the success story formula. And I'll give you an example for that. You're in Ireland, so let's say this is going to a market in Ireland. If people don't know, a big city in Ireland is Dublin. So Dublin truck driver quits job and now makes $100,000 yearly with e-commerce business. So Dublin truck driver quits his job, and now makes $147,000 a year with e-com business.
Now, what strikes me about that one, that's like a classic tabloid headline, like a tabloid newspaper headline, like Florida man wrestles alligator.
Yeah, right exactly. Yep. But these work really good because people love to read stories about how other people have succeeded because they're like, well, how did he do that? I want to do that. It's human nature. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like the key for that is to make it sound like it's written by a reporter, like a news reporter. So you picked on that right away.
And it's like the Dublin truck driver. It's like specific, it's relatable. I mean, if it was for a promotion for something to do with stock trading, it might be Dublin accountant or Dublin solicitor.
Yeah.
But it has to be somebody who's potentially in the market for the product that you're selling.
Yeah, and that gets back to knowing your audience. Like, are they mostly blue collar people now? If they are, then you want to use a blue collar job.
Mhm.
Because if you use the accountant in this ad, if your prospects that read it were, say, blue collar, they might think, well, he's an accountant. He's a lot smarter than me. That's why he could do it, but I can't. Or
Yeah.
he's got to be good with numbers. I'm bad with numbers. So that's why you got to know your market, who you're writing to. And then the next one was the question format. It's sometimes hard to give. I really put myself on the spot when I volunteer to do these things, because instead of sitting down for hours and coming up with a great headline, I'm trying to give you a headline here in like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, but like this is just, even though I want to just put this out there, we appreciate we're not getting the full Mike Pavlish product here, but what you're exposing and showing is the thought process and the different frameworks you've got already pre-ready before to attack a problem like this.
Let me think of a question one that could work here. Yeah, the biz op field, some really simple stuff can work. I've seen work and I've made work in it. Like something like, who else wants to make $147,000 a year in their own done-for-you e-com business?
That's a classic direct response headline formula.
Yeah, just some kind of like a startling question like that.
And another thing with that particular formula, the who else part, the implication that other people have already done it before you, very important. It's this implied proof in the question itself.
And then the last one I threw out, which is for the framework is a concept. And this one is the most interesting. It also requires the most thought, creativity, imagination, research. What we want to do here is we want to take the product, the market, the time and space we are now in the world, and come up with something like this. Something like the greatest e-commerce boom in the last 50 years is now making first-time business owners rich, new business owners rich, maybe. And then the copy, that headline may need a lot of work, but the concept is, the copy would go something like this. First-time business owners are striking it rich because of the convergence is too big of a word, because of two huge trends now. Number one, Shopify is a e-commerce selling machine that can let any newbie business owner sell products online with no previous experience very quickly and easily, have a chance to make a lot of money. Boom, idea number two, or something like that. What would that be? That would be something like, new companies have harnessed this Shopify bonanza and given Shopify sellers the perfect vehicle to use, because now they let them sell their high profit, high demand products by carrying no inventory and doing all the shipping for them. The combination of these two factors has let first-time business owners like Jim and Nancy Monroe from Dublin, Ireland, quit their jobs as truck drivers and earn $147,000 in their first year in the e-commerce business. Blah, 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 blah. So you're coming up with like a concept, like the biggest boom or the greatest AI revolution or something like that. I hope my example did it some justice.
So this is the idea where you've got to find two different things that are going on, and that there's a new opportunity that's created by two factors that are crossing over in
basically
time.
Like if you're writing something about investing, everybody knows the AI boom, right? So the one best stock that will make investors filthy rich from the great AI boom. So Yeah, yeah, basically what you said, combining two things is a good way to put it. It's even a little broader than that, but it's a concept. Like I say, it's pretty hard to explain, but
And then there's one other one you didn't mention, and this is kind of like sort of like macro and news, which, I mean, what I'm like right now, I give it an example. It's super topical. You've seen the story about the guy from OpenAI, Sam Altman, who lost his job and then he's got it rehired, and then all the other staff left and blah blah. There's a huge drama going on about this guy over the weekend. And it's the people straight away rushed out with emails over the weekend. It's like, this guy was the CEO of OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT. It's one of the most valuable companies in the world. This guy controlled tens of billions of dollars worth of market value, and he lost his job on Friday. So if he lost his job, and he's got no job security, well, nobody else has. And then they come in with an opportunity pitch. Doesn't matter how good your job is, you're always just one day away from getting fired. So why not? It's a perfect time to start your own business.
excellent, John, excellent example of a concept, right? I'm glad I thought of that.
These are cool. No, it's great to see. And one thing I would think would like to. There's a couple of things and notes that I wrote while we talked down there. So when I first told you my headline, which is very product based, and because it's for an e-commerce training program, so people who maybe are not in that market might not know is that the e-commerce training program market's been around for quite a few years now, and there's lots of different products out there. And people who were selling e-commerce training programs in 2015, 16, they had a much easier time of it because everything was newer then. But now that it's kind of got to a point of where there's more maturity and there's lots of competing products that do, like what we started off the conversation saying, lots of competing products that do very similar things, and lots of the people who are still maybe potentially in the market to buy those e-commerce training products, they may feel like they've heard it all before, or they've seen many marketing messages. So it's harder to give them something original. And that kind of ties into, I think, probably Eugene Schwartz's concept of marketing sophistication. So could you just give me in your own words, like how you assess that and how you think about that when you're setting out to create a promotion or write for a product?
Right. Yeah, every marketing situation is different, like you said. Like you said that now it's harder to sell an e-commerce business opportunity because there's a lot more out of them. People are more knowledgeable, they see more things. At that point, what you probably want to do is something like this, a concept, a headline like this. 12 reasons why XYZ is the best e-business opportunity in the world right now, or something like that. And then you get very opportunity and product specific. Okay. Like you talk about that the products are in high demand, that there's no inventory, that they get paid instantly. All the 12 things, or however many, 15 reasons why, whatever, 12, 15. Because people know that they can choose from 100 different e-commerce business opportunities, but you want them to look at yours and say, oh shit, this is really good. Look at all these 15, 12 reasons. You can dig right into the specifics and show them why you're superior. You see what I mean? So yeah, like you
Yes.
said, you brought up Eugene Schwartz, and what he's talking about is meet your market, your prospect where they're at now. That's why
Yes.
I say each time someone comes to me to write a sales letter or VSL, I have to look at who I'm marketing to, where the market is now, what they're looking for. And
Yes.
so, right.
And two impressions I got from what you just said there are these. One is 12 reasons why, straight away, that's a listicle. That's a classic magazine article type of headline. So it's less clear that it's a sales message initially. It's the type of thing that people love to read. People love numbered lists. God knows why, but we just do. And we consume that format again and again and again every single day. And then the other thing that stands out is like, that's at a level of people who've seen a lot of claims already. So those 12 reasons why, those are basically 12 objections you're about to knock out from under them to stop them from saying, I can't do it because X.
Very good. That's right. Yeah, when I train people in my copywriting coaching program, I want them to think more like I want them to think like, where what would be the most effective way to sell these people? What does the product have that's special about it? Where's the market? And what about the product can be brought out that's special about it? They're kind of these two things is what's going to make for a blockbuster, a sales letter, a video sales letter that can do 10 million, 20 million, $50 million in sales. You can't just focus on copy and words. You have to think about the selling strategy, the marketing strategy. What's gonna move, like you said, when we started out here today, what's gonna move the needle a lot? What's the breakthrough big idea?
So this is very important. And I'm saying this to people who are watching this, who are copywriters and maybe relatively recent in the industry. Because a lot of people, when they start off in the industry, they start off to getting a copywriting course or taking some kind of a training. And those trainings are sold often most times with good intentions by people who are working copywriters and want to teach what they know. But they also are marketers. And to sell copywriting as an opportunity, they have to tell you that copywriting is this, like the most powerful lever you've got to sell a product. And while it is a powerful lever, it's the copywriting. A lot of things have to happen before a page of copy gets in front of somebody's eyeballs, what I guess want to say. So as much as copywriting is a needle mover, it's only a needle mover after other more fundamental things have been taken care of, i.e. having an audience, having an offer to make to that audience, having the traffic channel that can get that offer to the audience at an efficient price. And for early stage copywriters who kind of sometimes may be thinking, and even mid-career, that the copy can actually make the difference, they fall into this trap of working on projects that are almost guaranteed to fail. A trap I've fallen into many times. And then some of my more experienced friends say, John, you shouldn't do that. And then I go and do it. And then I come back and I tell them, they're like, told you so. And I've come up with this kind of idea of a metaphorical way of thinking that as a copywriter, you're like a jockey. And your client and the product is like the horse's saddle. So your job as a jockey, you can't run the race, so you better pick a damn good horse to ride.
Yeah.
So I would like your sort of thoughts on that and how you go about that selection process of knowing when you've got a new opportunity to work with a client, how am I assessing? Is this going to make sense for me as a highly experienced jockey?
Great question, John. Well, I think, a while back I said the product has to have some kind of built-in superiority, advantage, benefit. I mean, there are a lot of products out there that just compete that are not as good as other products, and they just compete on price and stuff like that. That's a lot of commerce is. And then our job as the jockey, the copywriter, the marketer is to shine the best light on it, use the best positioning. But that's a tough question, John, because let's face it too. If we get those kind of projects and we need the money, we want the money, we're not going to say no if it's ethical and everything and meets our standards. So I don't know how to answer that really. I'm not sure I'm clear on what you're really asking. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of contextual and vague issues there.
Okay, so let's even not focus so much on the product, maybe even the client, because sometimes you work with a client, and I know, again, this is like things I've learned on the way, is like you don't realize till later on looking back, oh, there was lots of factors in the client and their business that meant that even if we wrote the greatest copy in the world and the product was awesome, we wouldn't have been able to make a success of it. So maybe you could talk about your kind of thought process and your framework for assessing a client and a new client relationship. Is it going to be a good one for you?
Okay. My biggest red flag, here's my red flag. My biggest red flag is, and maybe you've got beginning copywriters, so they might have to do this financially for the reason, but if you're taking on a client that is not a hardcore direct response client, like let's say they're whatever, it could be a million things, a chiropractor, and they're just used to running like business card ads, name, address, phone number, back pain, okay, that kind of thing, like a retail type of client, and they're not hardcore direct response people. Those clients have always been a problem for me going way back when I did work with them. Do you know what I mean? Because then you try to use direct response copy and they say, oh, that's too strong. Why are you doing that? Those clients have always been a problem for me. That's the biggest red flag I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing I don't, just intuition, gut instinct. Sometimes you get jerks that call you and you just get a bad feeling, or they say shit, they say stuff that just rubs you the wrong way, like, or you just pick up a bad vibe from them. I don't know, something like that, I guess.
Okay. I'll just, for me personally, what I've come to at this point is a realization. I think maybe when you're early on, or maybe this is just my personality, thinking that, what you're bringing to the table is going to actually make things move. And what I've come to realize at this point, 4 years in, is that I can't create momentum. I can just be the second pair of hands to make the momentum go a little faster. So if they don't have momentum in what they're doing, I can't give it to them. But if they've got some momentum, I can help them kind of, be the second pair of hands turning that crank to make it go faster.
That's been your experience, huh?
That's been my feeling, yeah. So now, like, my questions when I'm talking to somebody new is like, what's already going on? And I have to feel like that things are mostly going good for them and they've got some good momentum. And then I think, okay, yeah, I can contribute to this, but I can't be the person that actually makes that first step or gets the ball rolling.
Yeah, maybe we're talking about the same thing, because my worst clients have always been ones that, like, they don't understand. The higher you can get to real professionals that know how to, take your copy, they don't make many changes, they might run it by legal and do that kind of, the basics, but they don't interfere too much. They realize the value, they pay their fees, and they just run with it, they test it. It's the ones that, come back to you and say, oh, we never got this tested, we this, and they make a million excuses, or they screw up all this, your copy, or they change it, or this and that. Just a lot of ways that things can go wrong that you don't control. So the more of amateurs the client is, usually the worse it is for you as the copywriter.
Yes. One thing I would love to ask you, and maybe you have some example, is like, tell me an example of a time where somebody brought something to you and like you instantly, like a love at first sight thing where you saw it and you're like, yes, this is going to be a winner. And you were proven right. Can you tell me about an example like that?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you one. Not the one that comes to mind. There's a lot of them, but one that comes to mind. I think it's at about $20 million in sales now. It's a pain relief product. It's a pain relief drops called Icy Hot. It's on my website. There's the VSL I wrote for it. And it had, right after I started researching it, I think like in the third day of research or something, I found this clip that was done about 5 years, no, longer than that, 10 years ago, by Mike Wallace of 60 Minutes. Did you get the TV show 60 Minutes?
Yes, I'm aware of this.
It was done on the main ingredient in this product. And as soon as I saw that credibility, and I knew that would be like right at the top of my VSL, the Mike Wallace 60 Minutes, and how this pain reducer works, but the government and the drug companies are trying to shut it down because it's natural, and they can't patent it and make millions of dollars from it. I knew right away with that kind of credibility that was going to be a big winner.
And you were proven right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it was actually then, and it brings back to, it's like, it was actually the research that told you this is going to be the winner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a big thing today, what is 2023, almost 2024, a big thing in the success of anything you market or do copywriting for is how much can you prove? What kind of proof can you show the reader or the viewer? What kind of real proof? How many different ways can you show the proof that the likelihood that they are going to be successful? Not only testimonials, but endorsements, videos from, just we could do a whole podcast on proof elements, but the more and the more solid, the more powerful the proof, that has a lot to do with the success of anything.
And a lot of building that proof comes down to the authority that you can attach to what you're actually got to sell. Like you mentioned 60 Minutes, which is one of the biggest TV shows probably of all time. Maybe for an under 25 generation, they wouldn't be so familiar, but anyone 30 and above has either seen it or remember watching it as a kid or actually watched it themselves a few years ago. And it's still on in different formats in different parts of the world, right? I think in Australia, there's still a 60 Minutes program for sure.
It's on every Sunday night here in the States, yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
So
John, I'm sorry, but I'm on the clock. I have to prep for a few minutes before another conference call, a Zoom call.
no problem, Mike. We should then cut it short, and I should take the time to thank you so much for being here. This has been awesome. Very different to what I usually do, but like really good, like masterclass in what high level, deep thinking about copy is. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun, John.
Okay, have a great day and a successful call.
You too. Peace and love, man.